Bears are coached by Randy Dreitz, assisted by Ron Albo, Lance Schwint, Dick Creighton, Court Marquez, and Leon Lojek. Ralph Nance, the head coach of the Eagles, assisted by Matt Whittefield, Mike Black, Vince Saravo, Jeff Friedman, Steve Twaddell, Bill Haddon, Levi Ostrom, and Tony Kohler. And it looks like Faith Christian will be on offense first after the Bee Diggers deferred. The Bee Diggers in their home maroons with the white numerals, and Faith Christian in their white uniforms with the maroon numerals and the light gold pants. Opening kickoff is brought to you by Buildings by Design, the experience to complete your project from start to finish. Get the quality you deserve in your building by starting your build project right. Start with Buildings by Design. If the Bee Diggers win, they would travel next week to either Eaton or Gunnison. Bottom half of the bracket is Ken Denver hosting Montezuma Cortez and Strasburg home to Platte Valley. And because the Bee Diggers would travel next week, that would guarantee a state championship game in Brush. The state championship game would be here if the Bee Diggers win today and next Saturday. Jaron Peterson to kick it off. You can follow us on Twitter at KSIR Sports, or 1010 KSIR Sports is our Facebook page. And for the video, our KSIR B106 channel on YouTube or KSIRsports.com. Just click on Brush Videos. Back deep to receive, Nick Cortez. Looks like Elijah Durrett. We'll see if that's the other man flanking Cortez as the ball falls off the tee. Hopefully that's the only negative for the Bee Diggers.
Well, we got a good wind. The wind's coming out of the south-southwest, and the flag's standing every once in a while, so it's going to be a factor.
Yeah, we'll have a holder. The ball will be held for Peterson to begin this 2A quarterfinal. Peterson, low line drive. Cortez, wait for it, has it at the 8-yard line, straight ahead to the 15. Stutter stepping to the 25, and then he's hit it about the 26-yard line. Kyle Rosenbrock down there along with Mikey Gutierrez. And at the 26 is where Faith Christian will have the football. Adam Bugman is out. The junior quarterback dislocated his ankle last week in the 40-14 victory over Bayfield, so that changes things quite a bit as they'll go with a sophomore in Brandon Herman. Only at 6'2", 160, but Daniel Languish is a big fullback who really heard Brush a year ago. Out of a shotgun. There's the handoff on the left side, and hit at the line of scrimmage is Trevor Olson, a junior at 5'10", 160. And Rosenbrock was over there, along with Alec Peterson to make the play. No gain, 2nd down and 10 to go for Faith Christian.
So Faith comes out running that double wing like they've run for years and years. It's a good thing Brush saw that last week. You know, that was a good 2 weeks of practice getting ready for this game.
2nd down and 10 from their own 26-yard line. Faith Christian taking their time in the huddle as opposed to Moffat County last week, which never went to a huddle. One receiver out to the left. Herman in a shotgun. Awaiting the snap. Actually, that's a different quarterback in there. That might have been one of that was Languish himself. It was. Right up the gut. He's hit after a gain of 2 to the 28. Montos Garcia and Rosenbrock make the play. So they'll come out in the same formation, but maybe with different personnel, 3rd and 8.
I think we're going to see a little bit of what Brush does. You know, they Languish usually lines up over there in the running back position, and they just switched him over. They switched with the Herman, the quarterback, and just let him run the keeper.
3rd down and 8, just shy of the 28-yard line on the opening drive of the game for the Eagles. One receiver to the left. That's Cameron Lucio. Out of a shotgun is Languish. There is the pitch right. Swinging it to the outside and a gain of 1. And let's see if that was Lucio. And Rosenbrock makes the play. Nope, instead that was Trevor Olson. Lucio went in motion, but Olson got the carry. 4th down and 7 to go. Faith Christian will have to punt at their own 29-yard line.
They tried to stretch it out. They just couldn't do it. Our defensive ends did a good job. That was Clay Shaver over here. He took on his block right there at the line of scrimmage and forced him to take it to the sideline.
Guzman to receive. And that punt, end over end, bounces at the 41 of the Bee Diggers, down to about the 35. Punted away by Grant Harkness, the big 6'5", 215-pound senior. And the Bee Diggers with good field position to begin this drive with 9:55 to go in the opening quarter, 65 yards away from the end zone.
Yeah, just a good defensive stand there by Brush. We're still in that 4-3 defense that we usually run. Last week we shifted into more of a 5-man front. Today we just stuck in that 4-man front, and it paid off.
1st and 10 for the Beet Diggers at their own 35-yard line with a ball right in the middle of the field. Under center is Arnoldo Maltos Garcia. Has a snap handoff right up the gut. A big hole up the middle for Rosenbrock to the 50, into the secondary at the 40. Rosenbrock at the 30, down to the 10, to the 5. Rosenbrock scores! Touchdown for Rosenbrock on the first play from scrimmage for the Beet Diggers. 65 yards away. Rush 6, Faith Christian nothing.
That was the trap. Ran that 30 trap right up the gut. Got to give credit to those offensive linemen, Cookie Barraza, Carwin there at center, and Jose Rodriguez there at the other guard. Those 3 guys made that happen with some just great blocking right up the middle.
Now the all-important extra point to be attempted by Jaron Peterson. The Beet Diggers come out with a bang. Off the hold of Maltos Garcia. Nothing fancy, as you mentioned, on that play. Awaiting the snap. It's high. It's down. The kick is up. And that kick is right in between the uprights. Took a while for the officials to put up their hands. 9:45 to go. Opening quarter. Brush 7. Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. Kyle Rosenbrock with a 65-yard dash right up the gut. The Beet Diggers with a 7-0 lead. John Beltran with Dave Uhrig from Beet Digger Stadium in this 2A quarterfinal. Peterson to kick it off. And again, Cortez back there, along with Durrett to receive. Peterson boots a line drive right down the middle field. Cortez has it at the 15-yard line, across the 25, has it seen to the 30. Then he's tackled at the 33 by Clay Shaver, a return of 18 yards. And that's where Faith Christian will set up on their second drive of this 2A quarterfinal.
Well, so far that kickoff team's been doing a pretty good job of surrounding them and not over-pursuing them, making the tackle.
1st and 10 for the Eagles at their own 33-yard line. The Beet Diggers, for the second straight playoff game, score on their first play from scrimmage. Last week it was a 69-yarder by Rosenbrock out of the quarterback position. In a shotgun, Languish will take the football, run to his right, and he's hit at the 35 and driven back, and he will not be tackled, but driven back by Shaver and Peterson along with Maltos Garcia. Man, that's a heck of a spot. What are they doing there? They gave him the 36?
I didn't see him cross the line. I didn't see him cross the line.
That's a terrible spot. Wow. I mean, there's 3 officials. That's a horrendous spot. It's a gain of 3 when it should have been maybe 2. It'll be 2nd down and 7.
Well, everybody saw something we didn't see because nobody on our sidelines saying anything about it. He must have got the ball over there.
Well, you and I, though, we got a pretty decent angle. Lining up on the right hash mark, 2nd down and 7 from the 36-yard line. Languish out of a shotgun, one-step drop, throws to his right, complete underneath at the 39, maybe the 40-yard line. Mikey Gutierrez makes the tackle. The receiver was Jake Sanders, a 6'3", 195-pound senior. It's a gain of 4. It'll be 3rd down and 3 to go for Faith Christian. And well, Languish threw a duck up there. He's not a natural quarterback, Dave, but if he's their better weapon back there, he's going to be used under center or in the shotgun formation.
Well, as long as we can keep them throwing the ball, we'll take whatever they give us.
Languish out of a shotgun. He has the football, hands it off on the counter to Cortez. He's hit at the line of scrimmage. Check that, Cameron Lucio. Lucio out of his receiver position. Nothing. Gutierrez made the hit, 4th down and 3. You know what this reminds me of, Dave? You remember the quarterfinal the Beet Diggers played in 05. Nick Dreitz, a starting quarterback, tore his ACL in the first round, and the Beet Diggers had to go with Dustin Bass, who hadn't quarterbacked all season,
right.
And he was a receiver. High snap to Harkness. He gets it off, and a gorgeous end-over-end punt. Guzman backs up, fields it at the 24. Stutter steps to the 28-yard line, to the outside with a stiff arm. He's going to be dragged around and down and out of bounds. A beautiful play by Jake Sanders. Right at the 28, the Beet Diggers will have it on their second possession with 7:44 to go in the opening quarter, leading 7-0 on a 65-yard run by Kyle Rosenbrock.
Nico had a blocker there, but his blocker needed to look back and catch that guy in pursuit. Instead, he was looking ahead. I think if Nico could have got that backside block, things might have broke open for him.
1st and 10 for the Beet Diggers at their own 28-yard line. First B Digger touchdown brought to you by MMI International. When buying a mixer or feeder truck, compare the MMI design, craftsmanship, and service. MMI International, 842-5161. Rosenbrock is out of a shotgun on 1st and 10 for the 28, and he will hand it off right up the gut and across the 30 to the 32 for a gain of 4 is Mikey Gutierrez. He was hit initially by Nick Lamb. B-Digger starting lineup brought to you by Cargill Beef, committed to feeding the world in a responsible way by reducing environmental impact and improving products and processes at Cargill.com. Of course, you got those position players in Rosenbrock and Mikey Gutierrez. Matos Garcia with some quarterbacking as well. Clay Shavers, now receiver to the right, will set up the offensive line momentarily. Alec Peterson, Nico Guzman. Cameron Alexander, another receiver. Second down, we'll call it about 6 from the 32. Man in motion, and there is the pitch in the backfield to Guzman. He's got a seam up the left side to the 35-yard line before he's hit. Maybe got the 36. There were about 3 Eagles out there, including Zach Scholstad, the 6'3", 220-pound junior. And let's see, the gain is to the 36. We'll give him about 4. It'll be third down and short 3 to go.
Faith Christian's in a 5-2 defense. Big guy right there in the middle, number 75, 6'3", 220 pounds.
From the 36-yard line, Matos Garcia under center on 3rd down and 3. He has the football, hands it off up the middle. First down for Rosenbrock as he spins across the 40, down to the 43-yard line. It's a gain of 7. Tyler Fink, 5'9", 175-pound senior, made the tackle for Faith Christian. The B-Diggers with a nice offensive line. Of course, Joe Carwin, a senior, along with Jose Rodriguez. And you've got some other experience out there, and Tristan Teeter, Randy Woodward, Eligio Cookie Barraza, Omar Fierro at 6'2", 250. 1st and 10 from the 43, and was the ball fumbled? It was dropped there, but Rosenbrock falls on it. Maybe for a half-yard loss, and Dave, that's what killed the B-Diggers a year ago. It'll be 2nd down and 10, back to the line of scrimmage.
Almost in the same spot of the field as we're heading north. Mikey had that fumble a year ago, and boy, that really hurt. That time it was just a mesh between Rosenbrock and Matos Garcia. Looked like Garcia just had to reach out there too far to get in his belly, and he didn't quite reach.
Well, there was 1 turnover committed by the B-Diggers last week. Last year, the B-Diggers had 4 turnovers and blew a 14-7 lead. 2nd down and 10 from their own 43-yard line. Matos Garcia under center. Hands it off to Rosenbrock to the 45, and that's it. 2-yard gain. And penetration there by Mac Hansen, a 6'1", 205-pound senior. It'll be 3rd down and 8 to go for Brush at their own 45-yard line.
Faith Christian starting to load the box. They had 6 guys up on the line of scrimmage that time, and they were creeping their linebackers up, so they're starting to pack it up there, and that's going to open things up for Brush with those, those quick hitter passes over the middle, those dumps, and those quick pitches to the outside.
3rd and 8 from the 45-yard line with a back split. Matos Garcia, play action, rolls to his right, wants to throw. He'll throw underneath. The pass is going to be tipped and incomplete. At the 45-yard line, intended for Alexander along the sideline. Could not bring it in. It'll be 4th down, and the B-Diggers will have to punt.
Yeah, Maltos did a good job of stretching that thing over to the Faith Christian sideline before he threw the ball. He just needed Cameron to come open a little bit quicker. But the pressure came from the defensive end here on the backside. He came across, and he knew he was going to be in pursuit, and he had his mind made up. He was going to follow the play, and he showed some quickness as he was kind of tracking Garcia down.
Special teams will also be big. Rosenbrock to punt, standing at his own 32-yard line. Awaiting the snap, a little bit of a high snap. He gets it, and that's an end over end headed towards the sideline. Fair catch by Durrett at the 15-yard line. And that's where Faith Christian sets up for the 3rd time. They're still looking for their initial 1st down of the game with 4:35 to go in the opening quarter in this 2A quarterfinal from B-Digger Stadium. Brush leading 7-0 on a 65-yard scoring run by Kyle Rosenbrock.
It's fun to see the field position that Brush has given Faith Christian to start off with. But if they can keep this up the whole game, it's really going to help.
1st and 10 for Faith Christian at their own 15-yard line. Boy, they take some time in the huddle, but when you don't have your starting quarterback in there and Adam Buckman you've got to make that adjustment. Daniel Languish, normally a running back, is out of a shotgun. He has the football, and he will hand it off across the left side in a big hole across the 20 to the 25. First down to the 27-yard line, a gain of 12. And that was Trevor Olson for Faith Christian. Their first down of the game as Gutierrez made the tackle.
Yeah, they just ran it right at us, and that time it looked like they kind of caught our defensive line on roller skates as they were backing up.
With 2 locations in Brush and Fort Morgan, Ingmeyer Phillips Insurance can help you with your home, car, health, or life insurance questions or needs. Ingmeyer Phillips Insurance. 1st and 10 for Faith Christian at their own 27-yard line, and they want some ball control to keep it out of that explosive Brush offense. Languish will keep it himself, cutting it back towards the middle, and then he is corralled by Randy Woodward. There was a late block there by a Faith Christian player, but no whistle. Tackled at about the 29, maybe the 30. They'll give him the 30. It'll be 2nd down and 7 to go for the Eagles.
Well, one thing Faith Christian's done over the years is be some strong blockers. You know, they've always been very good at their execution and blocking to the very end of the plays and hustling all the way down the field. So it doesn't surprise me that they're taking it right to the whistle.
2nd down and 7 to go for Faith Christian at their own 30-yard line. Again, Languish in a shotgun. Awaiting the snap, has the football. There is the pitch right, and running into a blocker towards the right sideline, and breaking tackles along the sideline and being dragged out of bounds is Olson. Should have had him at about the 32-yard line. Instead, he gets to the 40. It's a gain of 10 and a Faith Christian first down.
Yeah, I'll tell you what. Brush should have had him. They should have had him back there for a loss, and then they should have had him again right there at the line of scrimmage. But what's happened is we had some guys just not wrapping up. Guys flying in there, making hard hits with their shoulder pads, even making some low hits, right down on their hips, but they weren't wrapping up, so it didn't bring them down.
1st and 10 just beyond the 40-yard line with 3:22 to go in the opening quarter. The Beatdiggers up by a touchdown in this 2A quarterfinal. Languish in a shotgun. There's another pitch right to the short side of the field, and Rosenbrock is going to drag the ball carrier, Olson, out of bounds, either for a loss of 1 or back to the line of scrimmage. Or check that. Peterson made the play. It'll be 2nd down and 11 to go for Faith Christian.
Yeah, it's kind of shocking that they run that sweep here to the short side of the field, especially since they're running it right here to the Digger sideline. Clay Shaver again does a good job at his defensive end position, just making him stretch the play out towards the sideline and not giving up any ground.
From the 39, 3-step drop, Languish throws towards the sideline, intercepted by Gutierrez at the 48-yard line, up the sideline to the 36-yard line. A return of close to 12 yards. I don't know who the intended receiver was. Gutierrez was just waiting for the football as if he were wearing a Faith Christian uniform.
Yeah, just a terrible pass, and Mikey Gutierrez did a good job of short-handedly picking it off and running upfield with it. We had some decent pressure. Brush has changed their defensive line. We're not in a 4-man front anymore. We're running 5 defensive linemen.
Languish is not a good throwing quarterback. He's not a natural quarterback, but sometimes you can stick another player in from another position, and they look good throwing the ball, but not Languish. 1st and 10 from the Faith Christian 36-yard line. Matos Garcia on the pitch right. Gutierrez to the outside of the 35, and then he's corralled at about the 33, maybe the 32. As Languish made the tackle, the gain is going to be 3 for Mikey G. It'll be 2nd down and a short 7.
Yeah, we just tried to run that quick pitch, but I think it's a great play since Faith's running that 6-man front. 8 guys in the box. There's nobody on the outside except for a corner and maybe that free safety, but he's got to come from 10 yards away.
2nd down and a short 7 from the Faith Christian 33. With just about 2 minutes to go in the opening quarter, Brush up 7-0, and Rosenbrock is in a shotgun. On 2nd down, Rosenbrock, quarterback keeper, right up the middle to the 30, and he dives inside the 30 towards the 28, maybe the 27. It'll be a gain of about 5. Tackle was made by Nick Lamb, a senior at 5'9", 170. And that'll be 3rd down, and we'll call it about a long yard to go, just inside the 28-yard line. The official spot, the 27. Easily 4-down territory. Matos Garcia is under center for the Beatdiggers. On 3rd and 1 for the 27. Handoff Rosenbrock left side. 1st down as he barrels his way to the 25. Lamb made the tackle again. All he needed was one. He got the deuce. As the B-Diggers are closing in on the red zone, trying to extend the lead.
Yeah, I got a good surge from our offensive line right there behind Omar Fierro.
A very quick-moving opening quarter from B-Digger Stadium. 1st and 10 for Brush at the Faith Christian 25-yard line. In the backfield are Rosenbrock and Gutierrez. Under center, Maltos Garcia. In motion is Peterson. There's the handoff right up the gut and a gain of a yard for Rosenbrock. He was stuffed in the middle of that defensive line, which included, let's see, Hawkins in on the play. That would be Kevin Hawkins, 6'3", 220. 2nd down and 9 to go. We are inside of 30 seconds to go here in the opening quarter.
Be patient with that 30 series, though. You know, that's what sets up that off tackle and that bootleg and all the play action passes.
At the 24, 2nd down and 9. Matos Garcia on the bootleg left. He looks for a seam to the outside, and he could not break a tackle. He's going to be thrown for a loss back to the 26-yard line. I think Coach Dreitz wants a horse collar or something. The tackle is made by Daniel Languish, and that'll be the end of the opening quarters. The B-Diggers face a 3rd and 11. Brush 7, Faith Christian nothing. You're listening to the 2014 Class 2A quarterfinals on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. And Dave Uhrig back from B-Digger Stadium in this 2A quarterfinal. We go to the second quarter. Brush leads Faith Christian 7-0. It'll be 3rd down, and we'll call it 10 officially, with the ball just shy of the 25-yard line. This will be 4-down territory for Brush. Kyle Rosenbrock is under center on 3rd down and 10 for the 25. With a back split, Rosenbrock, play action, looks to throw. Plenty of protection. It breaks down, he throws. That pass is going to be intercepted. Along the left sideline is Languish. And Languish is tackled at about the 35-yard line. Threw it out to the right, and it was Languish right there. He picked it off almost in a similar position as Mikey Gutierrez did for Brush. And the B-Diggers and Eagles both have one turnover in the game.
Both those passes against the wind, you have to wonder if the wind played a factor, because both times the ball came up short of the receiver.
The ball will be at the 36-yard line. That's a big stop there for Faith Christian. Now they're looking to establish some momentum on offense. They have 1 first down so far. Make it a couple. Out of a shotgun, this time is Herman. Handoff on the right side. There is a flag down, and Alec Peterson's going to make the play on the ball carrier, Trevor Olson, for a loss. And I think that flag, an illegal shift against Faith Christian, the B-Diggers more than likely would decline that, because it is a loss of at least a couple at the 33.
Peterson's tackle, it was like he was chest to chest with the guy and rolled in front of him and just kind of pancaked him onto the ground.
Now the B-Diggers should decline this, and it will be declined. It's a loss of 2 officially. 2nd down and 12 from the 34.
So Brush back in that 5-man front. Last time they did some shifting around as one of the guys that was up on the line shifted back into the middle linebacker position. That was Cookie Barraza.
From the 34-yard line, out of a shotgun, the pass out to the right is caught underneath, but maybe for a yard, and I think that might be Lucio, who's held up, not even tackled. And that'll be at the 35 instead. That'd have been Joe Sarabo. See 22 out there. It's only a gain of 1. It'll be 3rd down and 11 to go for Faith Christian.
So Faith doing a really good job executing, but just not having the horsepower to make it happen.
Brandon Herman is not the quarterback on this play. It's Languish out of a shotgun. And the B-Diggers moved, and boy, you got to wait till the ball is snapped. That's 5 yards. All of a sudden, a 3rd and 11 is a 3rd and 6. That's inexcusable.
Yeah, it's a little more doable now. It's inexcusable because the guys on that defensive line are right there. They're supposed to be watching the ball and making like they're deaf.
Well, not only that, the pressure's on the offense on 3rd and 11. On 3rd and 11, you got to wait till that ball snapped. Now, if it's 3rd and 1, I could understand you get a little bit antsy. You want to hold them, but not 3rd and 11. So now it's 3rd and 6 from the 45-yard line. Languish is going to keep the football, run to his right, and he's going to be short of a first down. He stretched the ball out at the 49-yard line, but held short. Rosenbrock made the tackle. It's a gain of 4. I wonder if they'll go for it here because that's fourth and about a yard and a half.
I've not seen them shift a lot of people out there onto the field, so.
Yeah, they might go for it. This will be a huge play for both Brush and Faith Christian.
This is one of those things I'm surprised they'd go for it right here. You know, it's.
Yeah, the ball at the 44. I might have said 49. The 44 with 10:10 to go in the second quarter. Brush 7, Faith Christian nothing. They're going for it. Languish out of a shotgun. Fourth and about a yard and a half. Man in motion. Languish up. Keeps it himself. First down. He's into the secondary across the 50 to the 45. And it's a gain of 11. As Matos Garcia made the tackle, but the Faith Christian drive continues now in B-Digger territory.
Yeah, there was nothing fancy at all except for they brought that slot across the middle in that motion, made it look like they might be running a sweep, but Language just ran straight ahead behind some strong blocking as they blew our interior defensive line out of the way.
Better quality, better service, better results, better electric. The home of Sterling Trailers, your Big Tex headquarters. 1st and 10 for Faith Christian at the Brush 45-yard line. Out of a shotgun. There's the handoff to Languish as the ball went to Herman across the 45 to the 42, running up the right side. And Randy Woodward made the hit. 2nd down and 7 to go. But right now, Faith likes the way this game is going because they're in it as we approach the 9 minutes and 15-second mark of the second quarter, trailing by only a touchdown and in B-Digger territory.
Yeah, and they're picking away, just those 3 and 4 yard carries at a time. That keeps their offense rolling and keeps our offense off the field and chews the clock up. They're able to keep it close.
2nd down and 7 to go from the B-Digger 42-yard line. Time to play some big-time defense here. Out of a shotgun is Herman, and he's going to hand the ball off, running wide to the left, and hit right there at the line of scrimmage, and tattooed was Olsen. Rosenbrock made a big-time hit, no gain. 3rd down and 7 to go at the 42. Now got to make 2 more plays, and then you get the ball back, and keep in mind that Faith Christian did receive the opening kickoff.
Peterson came up like he was going to try to make that tackle, and one of their blockers came out there to take him on. That made Olsen have to cut it up early. As soon as he cut it up, the pursuit got him as Rosenbrock just tattooed him.
The receiver to the right is Jake Sanders. The inside slot is Joe Sarabo. Herman, the quarterback, out of a shotgun. 3rd and 7. Quick drop. Lofts it up the right side. Man is out there. It's complete. It's a first down inside the 10 to the 5 and tackled at about the 3. Wide open over there for Faith Christian was Jake Sanders. 1st and goal for Faith Christian. All right, apparently he went out of bounds before he got to the 3 at about the 6-yard line. It's a gain of 36 yards. And the Eagles are now that far away from drawing to within a point.
Well, I guess we're seeing now why they've had so much success throwing the ball this year. They just threw the ball up in the air and let him kind of make a jump for it. Our corner was playing inside. He wasn't on the outside. Our corner was off to the inside, but he just gave him about 2 or 3 yards there as the Faith Christian receiver drifted towards the sideline.
Faith Christian takes a timeout, and we'll keep it right here with 8:08 to go in the opening half, and Brush with a 7-0 lead. The B-Diggers had the ball in prime field position, ready to go up 14-0, and then interception by Languish, which was preceded a few plays earlier by Mikey Gutierrez's interception. But Faith Christian is knocking on the door after that 3rd and 7 conversion. They've come up with a big plays on this drive.
Yeah, they sure have. And like we said earlier, they've always been very good at executing the plays that they run. And sometimes you watch them and it's like, where did that come from? But you'll know that they learned that from watching, one of their own players or their own favorite players that they follow. That was one of those plays where they just ran that fly pattern down the sideline and tossed it up in the air and let him make a play for it.
1st and goal for Faith Christian. With a football at the 6-yard line. Out of a shotgun as Olsen hands it off to Languish right up the middle towards the 1-yard line. He spins. Did he get in? I think he's just short. As Jose Rodriguez made the play. But it's down to the 1-yard line, a gain of 5. It'll be 2nd down and goal for the Eagles.
There's a big pile of B-Diggers and Faith Christian offensive linemen seemed like Languish just kind of ran right over the top of him. Looked like he kind of climbed over the mountain and landed on about the 2-yard line.
Second down out of a shotgun handoff to Languish. Stutter steps, runs to his right. He's going to be thrown down, I believe, for a loss. The Beet Diggers with tremendous penetration. Back to the 2 or 3. Rosenbrock and others were there to make the play. Languish could not find a hole. And it's back to about, let's see, we'll call it the 3-yard line, 2.5-yard line. Here's a big play, 3rd down and goal, just inside the 3-yard line for Faith Christian.
Now this Beet Digger team with the 13 seniors we have, they have a lot of savvy. Coach Nance is going to have to realize he can't run the same play back to back, or we're going to get him.
Out of a shotgun is Herman. He's got the football. He'll hand it off on the counter, running right towards the end zone, and stopped short is Cameron Lucio at about the 1. Gutierrez made the tackle, a gain of 2. It'll be 4th down and goal for Faith Christian. The ball's at the 1-yard line. This will be the 10th, make it the 11th play of the drive. 4th and goal from the 1.
Yeah, this is huge. This kind of is going to, I feel like this play is going to define, the rest of the game right here, if we can stop that surge.
Herman is in a shotgun. Languish to his left. 4th and goal from the 1. And now we have time called by Faith Christian. With 6:12 to go in the second quarter. And what has Faith Christian done? They've held the football for a long time, for about 6 minutes. In fact, the entire quarter, they got it with 11:50 to go here in the second quarter. So they've had it for every second but 10. I mean, you would think, Dave, you got to go to Languish here. He's your big senior.
Yeah, you got to go with your money, man. Whoever the guy is that's put the points on the board all year, and that's the horse that brought you to this point in the race. You got to give him the ball. The question is how they're going to do it. I wonder if the way the Diggers are stemming on defense is what made Faith Christian take that timeout. Remember last week against Moffett County, they had their defensive line and their linebackers jumping around a lot. This time our defensive line's jumping around a little bit, and our linebackers are moving back into linebacker position or from linebacker position up into that defensive line. And as soon as they moved this last time, that's when Faith called that timeout.
Well, let's see if it goes to Languish. It would make the most sense based on his productivity. But you never know. In a shotgun is Herman. 4th and goal from the 1. Herman to throw up the middle. The pass is caught. Touchdown, and there's a flag down. The pass is caught by the tight end, Grant Harkness. And let's see if the play even counts. It was thrown. I think it was thrown during the play. Now the officials are talking it over. It was 4th and goal from the 1. And the Beet Diggers are clapping, which means the touchdown will be nullified, obviously. Let's see if they have to settle for a field goal now. Not sure about their kicking game at this point.
Well, Harkness is 6'5", 215 pounds, and they definitely have the size advantage out there when they try to match up against our cornerbacks. The only one we think that we have the size to maybe hang with him is Cameron Alexander, and he's only 6 foot.
All right, let's see what the flag is about. I still have not seen an indication. I think it was during the play. Now, Matos Garcia is clapping, but are the Beet Diggers going to have the ball? They couldn't have the ball because it was a touchdown. I have no idea. I don't know what's being discussed out there, Dave.
I think the officials are saying the penalty should have been called before the ball was snapped.
Well, that would make sense, but then Faith Christian would run another play. They're pointing towards the brush end. The players are as if they've got the ball, but that wouldn't make any sense.
We'll have to see what the penalty is. They're over there explaining it to the Faith Christian coaches as well. On our sideline, Coach Dreitz has got Maltos by the back of the neck there, and he's telling him what the next offensive play is going to be.
The ball's being placed at the 6-yard line. Now let's see whose ball it is. This is Very confusing. 6:09 to go, second quarter. The Beet Diggers lead Faith Christian 7-0. It was a 1-yard touchdown pass from Brandon Herman to Grant Harkness, but a flag was down. 12 men on the field and a loss of down. Wow. So it's a 5-yard penalty, and the Beet Diggers have the football at their own 6-yard line. Dave, you said that play would define, and it wasn't even a play.
Yep. Wasn't even a play, and I'll tell you what, the Faith Christian Eagles just weren't disciplined. After they took that timeout, they were prepared to go at it, and they put 12 guys out there on the field.
Well, now you cannot turn the ball over. Matos Garcia's under center. And now we have another stoppage. We haven't had a play in about 3 minutes. You've got to control the football here over the final 6:09. 1st and 10. Let's see if Rosenbrock gets it. Hand off to Rosenbrock, running right back to the middle to the 10-yard line of the 15. He's got a first down, carrying defenders across the 20 to about the 23. For Kyle Rosenbrock, a gain of 17 for the Beet Digger senior. Talk about some blocking and running.
Yeah, that time he ran over here behind Jose Rodriguez, and I think Randy Woodward just made some good yards, and boy, he covered the ball.
1st and 10 for the Beet Diggers at their own 23-yard line. They got out of a mess there. Matos Garcia hands it off to Rosenbrock across the left side. Check that. That's Gutierrez. Rosenbrock executed that fake well. He was not tackled, but he got to about the 26. Gain of 3. Kevin Hawkins made the initial hit. It'll be 2nd down and 7 to go. The Beet Diggers have all 3 timeouts. Faith Christian with only 1. So Brush has trouble getting a first down. Faith Christian can only stop the clock once.
So Brush just running that common offense that they've had so much success with over the years. Running a couple 30 series plays there. 20 series dive.
2nd down and 7 from the 26. Matos Garcia hands off to Rosenbrock. Stutter stepping back to the outside, to the inside now, to the 30-yard line. Has a seam across the 30. Breaking a tackle at the 35. Stiff arm to the 40. And he's tackled at about the 49-yard line. An amazing run for Kyle Rosenbrock. Wow. A gain of 23 yards for Kyle Rosenbrock and a Beet Digger first down.
So that puts him at 121 yards today on 9 carries already, and he's taken this game into his own hands, lowered his right shoulder, and just peppered that Faith Christian linebacker when he came up to try to tackle him.
I mean, you figure the average running back, Dave, was thrown for a 2-yard loss.
Yeah. It didn't faze him. It's like he wasn't going to go down, but he's so strong and so athletic.
1st and 10 for the Beet Diggers at their own 49-yard line. Rosenbrock is out of a shotgun. Has the football. Rosenbrock will hand it off right up the gut across the 50 to the 48 is Mikey Gutierrez. He was tackled there by Hawkins around the ankles. 2nd down and 7 to go for Brush. 4.5 minutes to go, second quarter. Brush leading Faith Christian 7-0 in this 2A quarter final.
So Brush going to that read option, and Rosenbrock just left it in the belly. Trying to get that offensive line to work for the Diggers. They've been a little inconsistent. Some plays you see him getting upfield, and then the next play you see him kind of get knocked backward. That time I saw Jose Rodriguez ended up about 3 yards in the backfield.
Again, Rosenbrock in a shotgun from the 48. Rosenbrock this time to throw out to his right. Pass is caught underneath by Shaver to the 35. Up the sideline inside the 30 to about the 29, maybe the 28-yard line. A well-executed play, a gain of 19, and a Digger first down.
Yeah, Shaver's so sure-handed. The Diggers are getting that play action to work for him now. Remember, Faith's been running that 6-man front, 2 linebackers. They're all coming up to stop the run. They fake the dive and then just send Shaver out there on a 82 delay and hit him right on the numbers.
Baby under center. 1st and 10 for the Beet Diggers at the 29-yard line. In motion to the right is Peterson. Handoff Rosenbrock. Off right tackle to the 25. Back to the 20. Breaks a tackle to 50 to the 10-5. Touchdown Rosenbrock! 29 yards away for Kyle Rosenbrock. His 2nd touchdown of the game. Brush 13. Faith Christian nothing.
150 yards now for Rosenbrock, 10 carries. But again, Faith in that six-man front. They have the two linebackers. The linebackers are basically lined up across from the B gap. Brush attacks them off tackle, so they only have two guys over there to make the stop if we get a good block on that linebacker. We got good blocks on the defensive end, the tackle, got a good seal block on the linebacker, and then it's up to the corner and the safety to make the play, and they just couldn't do it.
The drive went for 94 yards. It's a heck of a drive there. The extra point to be attempted by Jaron Peterson is in the air. That was partially tipped, and that's going to be off to the left. 3:37 to go, second quarter. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. The Bay Diggers now with a 13-0 lead on Faith Christian. What a drive there, Dave. 6 plays, 94 yards in 2.5 minutes. Rosenbrock from 29 yards out. PAT was partially blocked. 13-0 Brush.
Yeah, Rosenbrock has gains of 17, 23, 29 that last time. None of them were plays that, the average kid might get tackled after 4 or 5 yards, but, he's breaking them loose for more.
And again, the ball will be held. And it's Edgar Rojas holding that football as Peterson to kick it off. Low line drive towards the sideline. It's caught underneath at the 35-yard line and across the, the 25-yard line, across the 32, about the 33 before the tackle was made by the underneath man, Luke Eggers. You can tell which way the wind is blowing because he couldn't get much on it at all. Oh, did he call for a fair catch initially?
It looked like he called for a fair catch, and then after he caught it, he decided to run with it.
No, but apparently the officials didn't see it. Yeah, I didn't see it initially either, but a lot of the Bee Diggers did, including head coach Randy Dreitz.
Yeah, I thought he waved for a fair catch, and I think they're saying it was the sun, but that's kind of a tough argument when the sun's, at the guy's back.
Well, you can shield the sun with your arm, but you can't wave that arm. That would indicate the fair catch. 1st and 10, Faith Christian from their own 33-yard line with 3:33 to go. Here before the break, man in motion, handoff right up the gut, and a gain of maybe a yard. The Bee Diggers there to throw back the ball carrier. Gutierrez was the first one in on the play, and that was Trevor Olson, the 5'10", 160-pound junior. They gave him a gain to the 34, 2nd down and 9. Boy, that's a yard, another phantom gain.
I'll tell you what, the spots.
Yeah, there's been a couple of questionable spots there.
Yep. But I'll tell you what, give credit to that defensive line. You're looking at Randy Woodard at the defensive end on this side. Jose Rodriguez playing the defensive tackle, right across from the guard. Carwin's on the other side, and Shaver's at the defensive end over there. And those guys just aren't giving up ground right now. 2nd
down and 9 for the 34. Herman in a shotgun. Has the football. Hands it off on the right side. And it's going to be another loss as Alec Peterson throws down Olson. Back at about the 33-yard line. I don't hope we don't have another phantom gain. Back to the close to the 32. Let's say a loss of about a couple of yards here. Yeah, even the Bee Digger fans are thinking, hey, where's this ball being spotted? I can hear some yelling from here.
Yeah, it's a little wacky. Give credit to Peterson on that. From that strong safety, he doesn't hesitate. He just flies up there and wraps people up and makes tackles.
3rd down and just shy of 11 yards to go from their own 32. Brandon Herman in a shotgun. 2 receivers to the right, 1 to the left. Back to throw. Lofts it up the right sideline. The pass is incomplete. Intended for Olson. Well defended. The Bee Diggers were there with Matos Garcia and Guzman actually ahead of the receivers. Would have been a much easier interception than a reception.
Yeah, they were trying to get the ball to Langwich down there, and, he's their money man, so they're trying to get it to him. And he was actually a little bit open, but fortunately for us, their number 1 quarterback's not on the field.
Yeah, and the ball went closer to Olson. All right, to punt is Harkness. Yeah, you're right about that. Awaiting the snap at the 20. Perfect snap, gets it off. A low spiraling punt. It goes over the head of Guzman. Let's see if he picks it up. No, it's going to roll into the end zone. Boy, a tremendous punt of 67 yards with a net of 47. Bee Diggers with 1:55 to go before the break have it at their own 20-yard line, leading Faith Christian 13-0.
Punter did a good job. You see the nose of the football was actually pointing down towards the ground a little bit more instead of sitting level with the ground. And I think they were hoping to get a line drive that would get that wind behind them, and that's exactly what happened.
Yeah, there's no doubt, as we mentioned, which way the wind is blowing. It's against the Bee Diggers right now. We know that. 1st and 10 for Brush at their own 20-yard line. They got plenty of time to score with the 3 timeouts. Touchdown runs by Rosenbrock of 65 and 29 yards. Rosenbrock is under center. From the 20, Rosenbrock is going to roll to his right, take off with the football at the 25, along the sideline to the 30. He's at the 40-yard line with 1 to beat, and he's still on his feet at the 30, but I think he stepped out of bounds as Rosenbrock is going to go the distance. And no, one official saying he went the 80 yards, and another one is saying he stepped out of bounds. But where's the spot going to be?
Back there by the flag on about that 15-yard line.
Oh, there is a flag, yeah. Okay, he didn't go out of bounds. I never saw the flag there. So it would have been an 80-yard touchdown. So it was not an out-of-bounds situation, even though he was towing the sideline. But the Bee Diggers called for a penalty. Let's see what that penalty is.
Well, our guard pulled over there, and his job when he pulls is to lead block for our bootleg, and he got out of position a little bit. It looked like he got his arm out around the outside of the Faith Christian defender's body.
Well, I said it nullified an 80-yard touchdown, but the truth of the matter is it probably would not have freed up Rosenbrock without the penalty. Not sure about it, but you never know. So now it's 1st down and 21 at their own 9-yard line. It only takes one big play. They were at the 6-yard line when Rosenbrock went for 17 to start that 94-yard drive. And now Matos Garcia's under center. I imagine Rosenbrock is a little bit winded. He's on the sideline right now. Got to hold on to the football from your own 9-yard line. Matos Garcia is going to hand it off, and is that going to be a big loss there? The handoff went to, I think, Conrad Cole. And he lost yardage to about the 7. Running off left tackle will be 2nd down now and 23 to go. Again, Faith Christian with only 1 timeout. That's huge because there's 1:17 to go. And I have a feeling the Bee Diggers are in no hurry here to run a play. They realize that clock management is the big component.
Yeah, at this point in the game, your quarterback's winded. Better off just to hold possession of the ball. And
Rosenbrock is in a shotgun. 2nd down and 23 from the 7. Bee Diggers call a timeout. That is brought to you by Greg Mullen at State Farm Insurance, Home Auto Life and Health. State Farm Insurance is there for you and your family. Greg Mullen and Brush will help you find the best policy to fit your life. 842-4555 for Greg Mullen at State Farm Insurance. 55.8 seconds to go. Yeah, if they don't rattle off a huge play, you got to figure you're not going to use your timeouts. And that's why when Faith Christian called that 2nd timeout, that completely changed the dynamics of the first half, besides the fact that they could not get into the end zone with the ball at the 1-yard line.
You're right. They'd love to have that timeout back right now if they could stop Brush on this play. We'll have to just see if Coach Dreitz has got the confidence in that passing game to come out throwing the ball right now.
And Conrad Cole getting that left ankle treated. And you also have to figure that if Faith Christian is to get the ball back, it'll be with about 5 or 10 seconds to go. They'd get it in excellent field position considering the wind is against the Bee Diggers. But it wouldn't surprise me if they're somewhat conservative on this play. At the 7, 2nd and 23, Rosenbrock is in a shotgun. Let's see if he just takes off with the football. No, he's back to throw. Now he takes off on the quarterback draw, breaks out of a tackle, and then Rosenbrock is going to be thrown for a loss at about the 4 or 5 yard line. I think they were just trying to take up time. Check that. He actually got to the 9. My bad. I thought it was thrown closer to the 5, but it's a gain of 2. All right, so it's setting up now a 3rd and 21. And the Bee Diggers could call a timeout and take it down to 1 second on the play clock. As right now we have 18 seconds to go in the half. Matos Garcia is under center on 3rd and 21 for the 9. Matos Garcia is going to hand it off to Rosenbrock, off left tackle across the 10, and is going to be thrown back at about the 11. Let's see if Faith Christian calls a timeout. Nope, the clock has just run out. He got to the 12, a gain of 3. That's the end of the opening half. In his 2014 Class 2A quarterfinal, nice job by the Bee Diggers managing the clock. It's Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. John Beltran, Dave Urig back from Bee Digger Stadium as we begin the second half of this 2A quarterfinal with Brush leading Faith Christian 13-0. It'll be Taylor Wagner to kick it off for Faith Christian. Nico Guzman back to receive. And the wind is behind Faith Christian. A low line drive. Matos Garcia has it at the 12-yard line, running up the middle of the 25, back to his left to the 30-yard line. He's got a seam across the 35 to about the 38-yard line. Wagner, the kicker, made the tackle, but a return of 26 yards. And there's an eagle down at about the 20-yard line, but the Bee Diggers with excellent field position to begin the opening drive of the second half.
Yeah, I'm not sure who that is, the 30 number. I was trying to see if it's number 36 or if it's number 30. 38.
Yeah, that's Kent Scott, a senior, but he seems to be okay. Took it on the side of the knee. So the Bee Diggers have the football at their own 38 on this gorgeous, by the way, Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, it's just a great day for football, isn't it?
Might not be like that next Saturday in terms of weather, but it is today, and that's all that counts for now. 1st and 10 for the Bee Diggers at their own 38-yard line. Matos Garcia is under center. One receiver out to the right. Rosenbrock and Gutierrez in the backfield. On first down. And there's movement along the line of scrimmage by the Bee Diggers, and that's not a good way to start the third quarter. That goes without saying.
Yeah, offensive line, the guard over on this side just got a little excited and leaned forward hard, almost had to put his other hand on the ground.
And this is a huge drive because you score here, even if Faith scores, they're still down by 2 scores. But if you don't score here and Faith comes back, they're within a score, and that changes this game completely.
This is when you take advantage of that mistake that they made with too many guys on the field.
Now it's from the 33, 1st and 15. Handoff Rosenbrock, off left tackle to the 35, then dives to about the 38. It was clipped around the ankles, a gain of 5. 2nd down, and 10 yards to go. Elijah Durrett made the tackle.
Everybody that just tuned in, that's 159 yards for Rosenbrock now on 13 carries.
Lots of video on our KSIR B106 channel on YouTube. Sometime later today or tomorrow. 2nd down and 10 for the Bee Diggers at their own 38-yard line. Alexander's the receiver to the right. Matos Garcia is going to hand it off up the middle and 2 yards, maybe 3. Rosenbrock was stuck by the middle of that line. A gain of 3 again. 3rd down and 7. The tackle was made by Languish as the Bee Diggers are going to need a big play here to get out of a slight hole.
You know, Brush has always been able to run that 30 series, and now they've been running that 20 series a lot here this drive, and those set up a lot of nice play-action passes.
3rd down and 7 from their own 41-yard line. This is only 4-down territory, but they pick up about 5 or 6 yards. Handoff, Rosenbrock, right side. He's going to be thrown for a loss. Back at the 40-yard line. Kevin Hawkins, the first Eagle in on the play. It'll be 4th down and 8. The Bee Diggers will have to punt.
Yep, that hurt. You know, that kind of nullifies that now. The penalty that Faith Christian had down there, giving us a chance to go up by 3 scores, would have been huge.
And the wind is against the Bee Diggers, so Rosenbrock has to get a low-line drive kick so the ball travels. In fact, they're not giving him much respect, standing at about the 20-yard line. Rosenbrock at his own 27, awaiting the snap. That's a perfect snap. Rosenbrock gets it off, low-line drive off the middle of his foot, inside the 35, down by Peterson at about the 33. You just don't have much there. You can't really kick in these conditions, only a punt of 27 yards, and that's why the Bee Diggers can carry a 2-touchdown lead into the fourth quarter, a minimum of a 2-touchdown lead. They'll have that intangible in their favor.
Yeah, Faith is if they're going to throw the ball, they better take advantage of this third quarter. I want to talk about Peterson on that play, just a heads up, hustle down the field as he jumped up in the air to catch the ball before it started bouncing back towards the Diggers' direction.
1st and 10 for Faith Christian at their own 33-yard line. The quarterback is going to be Languish out of a shotgun. Has the football, handoff right up the gut, breaking a tackle at the 35 to the 38 or 39-yard line. That is going to be Olsen, as Gutierrez and Woodward made the hit, but a gain of 5, 2nd down and 5 to go for the Eagles.
So Olsen, the comparison to Rosenbrock, 9 carries for 25 yards.
Your one-stop center for home improvement projects, Ackley Building Center at 1402 Mill Street in Brush. For flooring, paint, tools, appliances, and more, Ackley Building Center. 9:14 to go, third quarter. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing. 2nd down and 5 from their own 38-yard line. Languish in a shotgun will keep it himself off right tackle across the 40. 1st down as he's tumbled down at the 45 by Maltos Garcia. That's a gain of 7 for Daniel Languish.
29 yards for him now on 6 carries, and that was sort of that read option look. You know, he put it in his belly, pulled it out, then followed him right there off tackle on the right side.
It's a huge drive for both teams. 1st and 10 for the Eagles at their own 45-yard line. Again, taking time in the huddle because they want to keep that Brush offense off the field. And they're taking a lot of time. They better get to that line of scrimmage. Still plenty of time on the play clock because they're not inside of 5 seconds yet. Out of a shotgun from the 45. Languish hands it off right up the gut to Olsen across the 50 into B-Digger territory at the 47 off left tackle, a gain of 8. Hit was made by Nico Guzman along with, I believe, Mikey Gutierrez. We'll give him 7, but close to 8. 2nd down and a short 3 as the ball is just shy of the 47-yard line.
You know, Faith just coming out looking a lot different than they did in the first half. You know, in the first half, it didn't seem like they really knew what their plan of attack was going to be. Now they're just deciding to let Olsen and Languish run with the ball.
2nd down, and we'll call it a short 3 from the B-Digger 47. Languish takes off, running to his right, stutter steps, 1st down, across the 45 to the 40. And that's a gain of 7 for Daniel Languish, 2nd first down of the drive, and the Eagles right now are looking good here early in the 3rd quarter, trailing Brush 13-0.
As he stretches it out to the right side, he gets out there and then he turns his shoulders upfield and just squares up and runs straight ahead.
It's a good timeout called by the Bee-Diggers, brought to you by Greg Mullen at State Farm Insurance. Home, auto, life, and health. State Farm Insurance is there for you and your family. Give Greg Mullen a call, 842-4555. Good timeout to catch a breather, and not only that, but of course to strategize correctly. They look like they're either just not working off Faith Christian blocks or maybe even confused out there. I don't think they're too confused because there are not too many gimmicks that Faith Christian is pulling right now, but the Bee-Diggers have got to make some plays. If not, this is going to be a 6-point game momentarily.
I agree. I think Coach Creighton calling that timeout's just the right thing to do. You see that happen in all the other sports. When another team's getting the momentum, you got to do something to stop it. And if your players can't do it on the regular downs, then you might need to do it, yourself by just stopping the time.
1st and 10 for Faith Christian with a football at the Bee-Digger 40-yard line. Brush with a 13-0 lead. Languish out of a shotgun. 2 receivers to the left, 1 to the right. 3-step drop, looks, lofts it up the left side line. Bee-Diggers out there, tipped and complete. Intended for Sanders at the 15-yard line and broken up by Nico Guzman. 2nd down and 10. And Dave, I'm surprised they threw the football there.
Well, Sanders did a good job on that play. He was on the outside. Guzman was doing a good job with his coverage on the inside. Once the ball went up in the air and Sanders saw it was going to come up a little short, he gave up a little speed so that he could kind of circle around the back and get in position to receive the pass. And luckily for us, he wasn't able to come down with it.
Yeah, that was all about a jump ball. 2nd down and 10. I'm sure this will be a running play. I'm surprised if they throw again. From the 40, Languish will hand it off right up the gut and a gain of 1. To the 39, and that was Olsen. Jose Rodriguez and Cookie Barraza with a tackle. 3rd and 9 to go for the Eagles.
Boy, the Diggers weren't surprised by that play. They were all expecting run.
We're down to 7:20 to go in the 3rd quarter. And is Faith Christian going to take a timeout? Or is that an official's timeout? Timeout is called, but might be an equipment timeout.
Yep.
And Sanders has to run off the field, and he's their best receiver. And coming in is a freshman in Joe Saravo. Now the clock will rewind. 3rd down and 9. Faith Christian has the football at the Brush 39-yard line. This could be 2 more critical plays coming up.
Brush only rushing 4 guys.
Out of a shotgun. Langowish will keep it himself. Run to his right. Rosenbrock is there. He breaks the tackle, though, across the 35-yard line, and he's hit right there. Maybe just shy of the 35 as Maltos Garcia made the hit. It could have been a 2-yard loss instead. Maltos and Barraza hold him to about, let's say, a 4-yard gain, just shy of the 35. It'll be the 8th play of the drive. 4th down and 5 to go. A long 5 to go for Faith Christian with 6:35 to go in the 3rd quarter. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing. Another big play in this game.
So Brush, knowing it's a pass, only rushed 4 guys last time. This time be ready for that long count.
Yeah, you can't jump offside now. 4th down and 5. Langowish takes off. Up the middle. He's going to be stopped. Langowish going to be driven back. There was no hole for him to run through. And he's thrown back by Joe Carwin and 3 more Beat Diggers right at the line of scrimmage. And the Beat Diggers take over at their own 35-yard line. Still holding a 13-0 advantage.
Carwin just held his ground. He got his hands out on the guard that was trying to block him. He shed the block and just wrapped Language up. Kept driving him backwards. Just a great play there by Carwin.
He actually lost half a yard. Football's at the 36-yard line. So 1st and 10 for the Beat Diggers, and this game has been flying by. 1st and 10 at the 36. Maltos Garcia. He's going to roll to his right, throws underneath. The pass is going to be incomplete, well over the head of Cameron Alexander at the 42-yard line. Well, he didn't set up the throw. He was throwing on the run. And against this wind, it's very hard to measure out the flight of the football.
Yeah, going to have to, the wind's blowing, like we said before, from the south-southwest, and that's the direction he was throwing the ball. And, when you don't set up to throw it, it's going to make it a little bit tougher, and that was more of a waggle pass.
2nd down and 10 to go. Stop, shop, and save on all your grocery needs and snacks for game time enjoyment. Brush Grocery Cart. You can also pay your public service bill. 1302 West Edison Street in Brush. That's the Brush Grocery Cart. Rosenbrock in a shotgun. 2nd and 10 from the 36-yard line. Rosenbrock rolls to his right. Looking, throwing underneath. Pass is caught by Shaver at the 40. Along the sideline, he's knocked out of bounds. Short of a 1st down, but it's a gain of about almost 10. 2 officials are spotting it differently. The Beat Diggers are getting a favorable one right there, just past the 45, a gain of 9. It'll be 3rd down and less than a yard to go for Brush in prime position to pick up a 1st down.
Shaver was like an H-back. He kind of came across the middle in motion and then just headed upfield and then out to the sidelines. And Rosenbrock did a good job hitting him right on the money.
And it was the same pattern he just ran that Baby overthrew. 3rd down and less than a yard to go, just outside the 45-yard line. Will this be Kyle Rosenbrock? In motion to the left is Guzman. Handoff, Rosenbrock on the counter, hit in the backfield, and he dives towards the 45, but he stopped short. He is stopped short. Langowish came in and put a hit. It's a loss of 1. It'll be 4th down and 2 at the 44-yard line. Well, you're tempted to go for it, Dave, but remember, you're up 13. You'd give Faith Christian a short field. I know Randy Dreitz has lots of confidence, but this could be a game-changing decision and a game-changing play.
Yeah, I don't know. You don't want to gamble. They're at the 50-yard line.
Well, unless you try to draw them off sides. 4th down and 2. The Beat Diggers are indicating they're going for it at their own 44-yard line. Let's see if they try to get Faith to jump. Long count from Maltos Garcia. On 4th and 2, they're going to run a play. Pitch right to Gutierrez. He's got a 1st down across the 45 to about the 48-yard line. A gain of 4. The play was made by Joe Sarabo, a freshman, but that is a huge, huge play. And a big 1st down for the Beat Diggers. And now the Hearts can continue beating.
Well, we run that quick pitch. that's with that fake dive up the middle, and that freezes a linebacker. But Mikey just had probably the best carry of his whole season because he got that first down. The kid had him behind the line of scrimmage.
1st and 10 at their own 48-yard line are the Bead Diggers. There's the handoff to Rosenbrock, stutter stepping to the 50 along the right sideline, and he spins across the 50 towards the 45. And it's a gain of close to 7. It'll be 2nd down and 3. Did he stay in bounds? And he did, because the clock continues to run. And it'll be 2nd down and a short 3 to go, just inside the Faith Christian 45-yard line.
So 165 yards now for Rosenbrock. 17 carries.
Again, he's in the backfield along with Mikey Gutierrez. 2nd down and 3 to go from the 45-yard line of Faith Christian. Baby will hand it off up the middle to Gutierrez, and he barrels right into an eagle. But he did gain a couple of yards. Languish has made a bunch of tackles, and he made the hit right there on Gutierrez. A gain of 2. Boy, that's close to a 1st down. 3rd and maybe about a foot to go.
It's so close. If I was out there, you almost ask for a measurement because it's halfway in between the 40 and the 45.
Yeah, I can't believe they're not measuring, because that's very close. 3rd down and about a foot to go, where they race up to the line of scrimmage from the 43-yard line of Faith Christian. Matos Garcia, handoff Rosenbrock. 1st down, check that as Gutierrez across the right side to the 41. It's a gain of 2. Languish made another tackle. They'll give him the 40, close to 3 yards. And the Bead Diggers had the football at the 40-yard line.
21 yards on 7 carries for Mikey. Like we said, the last 6 or 8 yards have been probably some of the most important yards of the whole season.
Novus Auto Glass Repair and Replacement. Novus gets you back on the road. 3:15 to go, 3rd quarter. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing in this 2A quarterfinal from Bead Digger Stadium in Brush. 1st and 10 for the Bead Diggers at the Faith Christian 40-yard line. Matos Garcia under center is going to turn, looks to throw out to his right. The pass is going to be intercepted along the left sideline is Harkness and tackled out of bounds. Harkness at the 50-yard line. That's the 2nd interception thrown by a Bead Digger today. And Faith Christian stays in this game with that big INT.
Well, Brush running that 30 series, and, like we say, that trap and that off tackle set up the bootleg and also set up the bootleg pass. That 82 was going to be wide open right there. But the thing is we have to remember Harkness. He's 6'5", 215 pounds. By the time he gets his arms in the air, that's tough for a guy Matos Garcia's size to throw over the top of.
The football officially at the Brush 49-yard line. That could have been a game-ending drive, and now Faith Christian back into it. Herman is the quarterback, handing it off right up the middle to Olson. And the gain is about a yard. That's it to the 48-yard line. Rosenbrock and Barraza make the play. 2nd down and 9 to go. You can't make turnovers in a game like this or commit them, and the Bead Diggers have committed 2 turnovers, but the defense has been so good they've kept Faith Christian off the scoreboard.
Right. Well, coming into the game, remember, Faith Christian has over 30 takeaways this season, so this is something they're used to.
2nd down and 9 to go from the Bead Digger 48. Herman out of his shotgun, and he's going to hand it off on the right side to Olson, and he's got about a yard or 2 to the 47-yard line. The Bead Diggers there corralling the ball carrier and making the play, and Rosenbrock was out there along with Clay Shaver. They'll give him the 46. 3rd down and 7 to go after the gain of 2. We are under 2 minutes to go. 3rd quarter, Brush up by 13.
Anybody out there at home wondering if Faith is still running that double wing like they have in the past against us, and they're not. I don't know if it's because Buchanan's hurt or Buckman's hurt, or if it's just the way they're running it this year, but, they mostly spread you out.
3rd down and 7 from the 46-yard line. Herman in a shotgun, 2-step drop, throws it, batted down! Throwing to his right, and Carwin batted the football down. It'll be 4th down and 7. Let's see if Faith decides to punt, and I think they're going to send out the punt unit.
Yep, they're a team that's always platooned. Every year we play them, we see them send in a new offense and a new defense most of the time, and now they're sending in their special team punt team.
Harkness to punt, standing at his own 41-yard line. And you got to watch out for a fake because they know the wind is at their back right now. Have to watch out for that fake. On 4th and 7, perfect snap, and he will punt it end over end. And Guzman's going to let it hit and bounce into the end zone. Smart play, smart decision by the Beet Diggers senior because the punt went for 47 yards, but only a net of 27.
Yeah, that was a good call by Nico, making sure. It was a punt that was coming end over end, and he just made sure when it hit the ground it was going to take that big hop, and it did, and he just stepped out of the way.
The Beet Diggers with the football at their own 20-yard line with 1:34 to go in the third. And they played well enough to be up by 3 touchdowns, but a couple of big mistakes. Now I would be surprised if they threw the football in the third quarter. Maybe in the fourth, but certainly not here in the third. Rosenbrock is out of a shotgun. On 1st down and 10, man in motion to the right, and there's the handoff to Gutierrez. Big hole up the middle to the 30-yard line, back to the inside of the 40, and he's near midfield. Mikey Gutierrez with a huge run towards the 49. It's a gain of 29 yards for Mikey G. The tackle was made by Jake Sanders.
That takes Mikey up to 50 yards on 8 carries. And tell you what, there was a lot of action going on there as we faked that end around, and then we're going to make it look like we're going to possibly run that read option, and just give it to Mikey behind the great blocking of that offensive line, and he showed a lot of speed and maybe one of his longest runs for a while.
1st and 10, they'll mark the football at the 48-yard line. But that'll take the game for sure into the fourth quarter with the Beet Diggers possessing the football and more than likely in Faith Christian territory. Rosenbrock in a shotgun on 1st down. Man in motion to the left is Peterson. And looking to throw up the left side. That pass is going to be tipped and complete. Intended for Nico Guzman. He was double covered over there. Wow, 2nd down and 10. I guess the Beet Diggers are going to try to throw them off balance as much as possible. I thought they'd just stick with a run considering what they just did a moment ago. And again, knowing, Dave, it's been difficult. The 2 interceptions have occurred when the Beet Diggers have had the wind against them.
Right. But that play was just geared that way. You have all those fakes going on in the backfield. There's only one place you're going to throw the football, and that's down the sideline over there. So Rosenbrock didn't even hesitate. He made the run fake and then threw the ball in the air.
2nd down and 10 from their own 48-yard line in a shotgun as Kyle Rosenbrock awaits the snap. He will hand it off to Gutierrez. Big hole up the left side to the 40, inside the 40, and then he's going to be held up at the 35-yard line. Mikey Gutierrez with a solid run, a gain of 17 yards. That's 2 carries for about 45, 46 yards on this drive for Mikey Gutierrez.
Yep, 17 yards. Brings his total up to 67 yards on 9 carries. But just looking like a fresh set of legs out there.
Yeah, that looks like a first quarter carry.
Yeah, it
not
does.
A third quarter carry. He's just shooting out of that backfield, and it's almost like he's slingshotting his way right through the middle of that defense. 1st and 10 for Brush. This could be the final play of the third quarter. 35-yard line with 35 seconds to go. Rosenbrock in a shotgun. Peterson in motion to the left. And this will be a handoff up the middle. Gutierrez spins his way across the 35 to the 32. He was held up at first, but he was able to gain 3 yards as Zach Schulstad made the tackle. And that should be the final play of the third quarter. It is. We have played 3 quarters in this Class 2A quarterfinal from Beet Digger Stadium. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. John Beltran back with Dave Urick at Beet Digger Stadium in this 2A quarterfinal. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing. The Beet Diggers have the football. 2nd down and 7 at the Faith Christian 32-yard line. Touchdown runs of 65 and 29 yards by Kyle Rosenbrock in the opening half, and neither team scored in the third quarter as both defenses came up with some huge plays, Dave.
You betcha. Those interceptions, the last one over there by the tall kid from Faith Christian, 6'5", 215 pounds, Grant Harkness. That was the one that was the drive stopper for us.
1st and 10 for Brush. Check that, 2nd and 7 for Brush, which I just said about a minute ago. At the 32-yard line, man in motion, and there's the handoff to Gutierrez, cutting it back towards the middle, and he's going to be stopped after a gain of 1. At the 31, Languish in on the hit. He's made about 10 to 15 tackles today. I mean, we don't keep the defensive stats, but he's been all over the field.
He's definitely the player. But
Third,
Brush is going to end up handing that ball off on that end around to Peterson here pretty quick. Coach Streitz keeps trying to set that up.
3rd down and 6 from the 31-yard line. And this will be 4-down territory unless the Bee Diggers take a big loss on this play. Rosenbrock is in a shotgun. Rosenbrock will keep the football, run to his right, look for a seam. He's going to take the loss. He's going to be driven back, not tackled, but driven back at the 35-yard line. A loss of 4. Too much penetration, and this Faith Christian team has been better defensively than I thought. Keep in mind, Faith Christian lost to Ken Denver earlier this year, 39-7. So that would cause some concern based on that comparison should the Bee Diggers face the Sun Devils in a state championship game. But first things first, got to get by this game and then win next week.
The officials blew the whistle on Rosenbrock that time, but he was still fighting. It's been interesting to see if they would have just let him go. Not blow the whistle. He might have broke things loose.
No punt here. They're going to go for it. 4th and 10 at the Faith Christian 35. Rosenbrock will be under center. Rosenbrock is back to throw, looking over the middle. The pass is tipped and incomplete. Intended for Peterson at the 23. Peterson was open, but it was tipped away before it got to Peterson. And Peterson was hit early, but the ball was tipped, which means there's no pass interference. And Faith Christian, with 10:25 to go in the game, takes over on downs.
Yeah, Faith Christian did a really good job defending that as their linebackers dropped back into that passing lane and got into that hook zone area, and the free safety came up from behind, so they had plenty of coverage.
Well, it doesn't surprise me that they are playing Brush tighter than they played Ken Denver because it's a big difference between the regular season and the playoffs. And Faith Christian's played a very good game defensively. 1st and 10 from the 35-yard line. The quarterback Herman in a shotgun. Going to hand it off on the left side to Olsen. He's going to be stood up at the line of scrimmage. Might have gotten half a yard. Rosenbrock makes the play. And Mikey Gutierrez as well. 2nd down, we'll call it 10. It would be nice to get just one more touchdown, Dave, and punctuate this game.
Yeah, that would put it away, that's for sure. You never feel safe unless you're 3 touchdowns ahead.
Yeah, 13 points is not big enough. 2nd down and 10 to go from the 35-yard line. Got to look for a pass play at some point if they can't pick it up via the run. The quarterback, Brandon Herman, a sophomore in a shotgun, 5 yards behind the center, is going to roll to his right. He doesn't have much running room. He's going to be thrown for a loss by Clay Shaver. The ball is loose, but he was down by contact, and Shaver throws him for a 5-yard loss back at the 30. They might give him an advance to the 31, but he really didn't have the speed, certainly, to match Shaver's.
No, and I disagree with that call. That was a fumble. The reason is because Shaver wrapped him up, and then he twisted him around. As he was throwing him to the ground, Herman actually landed on top of Shaver. That's when the ball came out. His body was never in contact with the ground.
3rd down and 15 to go from the 30. Well, this is all about the secondary now. And they've got no option but to pass the ball. I'd be surprised if they ran it. I don't even see Languish in there. 2 receivers to each side. And we have a stoppage, and that's Shaver's going to have to come out. An equipment issue. Tristan Teeter will check in. We've got 8:48 to go in the game. Brush up by 13 in a shotgun. And now, do we have a timeout called? Another stoppage. Faith Christian calls a timeout. We'll take it with them. 8:45 to go, 4th quarter. Brush 13. Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. 3rd and 15. Back to throw to his left. It's caught by Languish underneath, but he's going to be hit by Rosenbrock and Peterson on a 3rd and 15 from the 30s. Hit at the 31. It's a gain of 1. 4th down and 14 to go for Faith Christian. And they're running out of time, and they've almost run out of downs. They're going to have to punt here with 8:22 to go in the game. John Beltran with Dave Urig. And Brush leading Faith Christian 13-0. And Grant Harkness to punt. Back to receive is Nico Guzman. Harkness standing at his own 20. Awaiting the snap, a little bit of a high snap. Gets it off. A Punt that's going to drop at the 36-yard line, take a huge roll inside the 25 to the 22. And not a bad punt at all, 47 yards for Grant Harkness. And with 7:57 to go, Dave, you've got to take care of the football now.
Yep, it's a good thing we our bread and butter is running the football, and we're so good at running that wing T offense, and even running that option out of that spread. Because if we can hold the ball and if we can keep it in between the hash marks, this game's going to be over in a hurry.
2 first downs would do it. Because that would force Faith to throw the ball in virtually every play with all the time that would come off the clock, excuse me. 1st and 10 at the 22. Out of a shotgun is Kyle Rosenbrock. Rosenbrock will hand it off up the middle, and Gutierrez spins for a yard to the 23. And that time it was Jake Sanders and Kevin Hawkins to make the play. 2nd down and 9 to go, and Gutierrez is getting a lot of the work right now.
72 yards, 12 carries. But, it's good money to do that, because a lot of those Faith kids have to pay attention to where Rosenbrock's at, and that should leave Mikey wide open.
Willow Coffee, Tea, and Smoothies and G Sweets Bakery, your perfect combination. Open 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday. Saturday, 7 until 4 at 921 Edison Street in Brush. The clock is stopped with 7:31 to go. Another equipment issue. It was with Daniel Langwish. He's going to stay on the field. 2nd down and 9 for the Beet Diggers at their own 23-yard line. Both touchdowns came in the first half. A 65-yarder and a 29-yarder by Rosenbrock in the first and second quarters. 1 in each. Again, Rosenbrock is in a shotgun. From the 23, and the Beet Diggers moved again.
That's frustrating. It's our linemen. They're trying to fire off. You can bet that, they're thinking about getting out there and making that great block, and it's just being overexcited. But boy, we got to focus. Those aren't the kind of penalties we could be making in the playoffs.
The only good thing is that if you play this substandard today, Beet Diggers normally don't play games like this back to back.
Right.
You get by this game, and then you fix these issues during practice, or in practice during the week. 2nd down and 14 to go from their own 18-yard line. In a shotgun once again is Rosenbrock. He has the football, 3-step drop, looks to throw, and now he steps to his left, pressure coming. Rosenbrock takes off with the football along the sideline to the 20-yard line, now to the 30, knocked out of bounds is Kyle Rosenbrock past the 30-yard line. Boy, he's fairly close to a first down. Great run by Rosenbrock, realizing that there was pursuit from behind. They'll give him the 30, and that's a gain of 12 for Kyle Rosenbrock. Now it's 3rd down and 2.
Yeah, I like that when he just tucks the ball and runs with it. That's one of the hardest things for defenses to defend. You drop back to pass, most people aren't taking into account the quarterback can run with it.
And he stayed in bounds, which means the clock is now approaching the 6-minute mark. 3rd down and 2 to go. Brush has the football at their own 30. Matos Garcia under center. Gutierrez in the backfield along with Rosenbrock. And now the Beet Diggers call a timeout, brought to you by Greg Mullen at State Farm Insurance. Their second timeout used here in the second half. Home, auto, life, and health. State Farm Insurance is there for you and your family. You'll find the best policy to fit your life. 842-4555. Greg Mullen at State Farm Insurance. We have an even 6 minutes to go in the game. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing in this 2A quarterfinal. The Beet Diggers stopped Faith Christian in the first half on their one big opportunity to score. They were 1 yard away and could not get into the end zone.
Yeah, the defense came up huge with the help of Faith since they had too many guys on the field. Brought a loss of down with it.
So here we go. 3rd down and 2 to go from their own 30-yard line. Beet Diggers still along the sideline in the huddle talking things over. And Faith Christian's made some clutch plays here on 3rd down. The last time the Beet Diggers were shut out in a half was the second half. My memory serves correctly, against Fort Morgan in the opening game of the season on offense. They scored a defensive touchdown in that second half. 3rd and 2 from the 30.
They're in a 5-2 defense now.
Matos Garcia. He's going to roll to his right on the bootleg. He's going to get a first down to the 35. Along the sideline to the 40s. He spun down at about the 47 or 48-yard line. An excellent play by Baby. And it's a gain of 18 yards for Matos Garcia.
See, Language blitzed up the middle. He came up there and he tried to sneak in that A gap and looked like he was going to try to take the handoff there for a minute. And he thought that Baby handed the ball off, but he didn't. And he tried to chase him down, but he found out in a hurry he didn't have the speed to match Matos Garcia.
Well, that's one first down they needed. A second one, I think, will put the game away with 5:38 to go. 1st and 10. The V-Diggers with a football at their own 48-yard line. In a shotgun is Kyle Rosenbrock. Two-step drop. Fakes. Throws out to his right underneath. The pass is incomplete. Intended for Guzman at the 46-yard line of Faith Christian. 2nd down and 10. And that, of course, stops the clock. And the V-Digger passing game today has not been good at all.
No, we've struggled only completing 2 passes, 8 attempts for a total of 28 yards.
And unfortunately, 2 have also been completed to Faith Christian Eagles. 2nd down and 10, and the V-Diggers do have the wind at their back. With a football just shy of the 48-yard line. Baby's under center. Long count, although it doesn't matter because the clock has stopped after the incomplete pass. Handoff to Rosenbrock. First down nearly across the 45 to the 44. He shot out of there, I think, a little bit short. He got to the 44. I thought he was going to get an easy first down, but he was ankle tackled at the 44. A gain of close to 9. It'll be 3rd and a long 1.
In the first half, the Diggers had 187 yards total offense. The whole game right now, Rosenbrock's got 182 just on the ground.
They've got to get to about the 42 and a half, so it's 3rd and a long 1 at the 44. 2 plays to gain that much yardage and keep the drive going. Matos Garcia hands it off to Gutierrez. First down off left tackle inside the 40, and he's still on his feet at the 35, and he's carrying defenders to about the 33, and inside the 30 now to the 28-yard line is Mikey Gutierrez, and that gain is about 16 yards and a first down. Hard run there by Gutierrez as Randy Woodward gets off the bottom of the pile.
Yeah, his offensive lineman was sticking right there with him, wasn't he? But Mikey kept running because the Faith Christian Eagles were trying to strip the ball from him. They were trying to rip it out of there. And after what Mikey went through last year against him, there was no way he was going to give it up.
Just shy of the 27-yard line. The V-Diggers have held the football now for 3.5 minutes. And we're down to 4:18 to go, 4th quarter. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing. At the 27, Matos Garcia under center. The backs reset. Baby hands it off to Gutierrez off right tackle inside the 25-yard line. He dives to about the 22, maybe the 21. Ryan Packard made the hit, a gain of 5. 2nd down and 5 to go. And Faith Christian takes a timeout with 3:53 to go in the game. And that was the 7th play of the drive that began on Brush's 22-yard line. Now they're at the Faith Christian 22, which means they have traveled exactly 56 yards. But they need 22 more to get into that end zone and extend the lead. I think Faith Christian's down to 1 timeout. And, Dave, you've thrown enough in this game. It's been unsuccessful at this point. Not that we're coaches up here, because I'm certainly far from one, but it would seem that if you keep the ball on the ground, even if you're not successful, at the very least, you chew up valuable time.
I agree with you. You got to just control the ball. You don't want to give it back to them. We've been in a lot of games where we were down 2 touchdowns, with 2 minutes left in the game and come back and won them and shock people. And so we have to remember that possibility is still there for Faith.
When you're shopping for new appliances, shop the best appliance store in Fort Morgan, B&B Appliance, with a full and complete line of Whirlpool appliances. They'll help you find your perfect fit, B&B Appliance. 2nd down and 5. from the 22-yard line of Faith Christian. Brush 13, Faith Christian nothing. Maltos Garcia. He's going to hand it off to Rosenbrock. Up the middle, inside the 20, towards the 17. Looks like he's got another first down. As he was hit by Jake Sanders, it's a gain of 5, and they won't even measure. First down for the Bead Diggers. And that's their third first down of the drive, and I think that one should do it with 3:50 to go. And did Faith Christian call another timeout? They did. Now you really just hold on to the football. Yeah, they're either down to one timeout or that's it. Because there's not a place on the board where they keep those timeouts. We'll keep it right here. Live in your world and learn in ours. For more information about Northeastern or classes available to you, go to njc.edu. And whether you're in the market to purchase a new or pre-owned vehicle, Ehrlich Toyota East in Fort Morgan will fit you into the car truck of your choice, serving all of Northeast Colorado. Ehrlich Toyota East. The Bead Diggers would be headed for a semifinal matchup in Eaton against the Reds. That was tied at 15 early, but Eaton has taken control of the game. And they've got a 3-touchdown lead, 36-15. That game's in the fourth quarter. But again, the championship game, if the Bead Diggers get that far, would be in Brush. 1st and 10 for the Bead Diggers at the Faith Christian 17-yard line with 3 minutes and 50 seconds to go in the game. Maltos Garcia. And the ball is loose. It was handed off to Gutierrez, and he was hit as he took the handoff. I think he fell on it at the 15-yard line. Oh, no, they give it to Faith Christian. Maltos Garcia was hit as he tried to hand the ball off to Mikey Gutierrez. Really can't pin that too much on Mikey, and he really can't pin it on Maltos Garcia. That was almost impossible to get that off, so it's a turnover for the Bead Diggers, the third of the game as the Eagles recover. They're at their own 15-yard line with 3:39 to go. And now they're going to have to throw on virtually every play. Wouldn't surprise me the Bead Diggers put up a defensive touchdown here.
Language is just playing that middle linebacker, and he's been blitzing that A gap. And, you know, that play before when Maltos had that bootleg for the first down, he almost had him. That time, you know, it worked for them.
Brandon Herman, the quarterback, two-step drop, throws out to his left. The pass is tipped, intercepted. It's intercepted by Alexander up the right sideline. Alexander to the 10-yard line to the 5. Alexander to the end zone. Touchdown, Cameron Alexander. We'll call it about 28 yards away on the interception return for a touchdown. And the Bead Diggers lead the Faith Christian Eagles 19-0 on a pass that was intended for the tight end, Grant Harkness.
I'm so happy for Cameron, and I wish I would have seen the number of the kid that from Brush that made the block for him out there, because we had a guy that flew out there and made a lead block that took one of the Eagles out of bounds, and Cameron alertly planted his right foot, cut it back inside, and headed for the end zone. So good for Cameron and good for the Digger defense.
With a sophomore quarterback, Dave, again, because I'm certainly not a prophet, but you could see that was going to happen. The Bead Diggers were going to double cover Harkness, make sure that if anything was complete, it was going to be underneath. And they threw it downfield on the very first play. And now Brush is going to go for 2.
Yeah, they just threw the ball up in the air. Harkness jumped a little too soon and tipped it.
And now we have delay of game against the Bead Diggers. And are they going to take a timeout here? No.
Nope. Just caused a little frustration. Everybody in the crowd's getting a little restless with some of the penalties that, you know, just aren't usual for the Diggers. But, you know, there's a celebration after that. A celebration for Cameron getting that big pick 6. And then a celebration for the Diggers as a whole, knowing that they just iced the football game.
Yeah, we'll call it unofficially 28-yard interception return. Rosenbrock at his shotgun. 5-step drop, looks to his left, throws to his left, open, touchdown, or 2-point conversion is good, Nico Guzman makes the catch. 3 minutes, 28 seconds to go in the game. Brush 21, Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. Well, the Bee Diggers scored for the first time since the second quarter, but Faith Christian has not gotten on the board yet. Unofficially, a 28-yard interception return by Cameron Alexander. And with just under 3.5 minutes to go after the 2-point conversion was good, the Bee Diggers now lead Faith Christian 21-0. Dave Uhrig told me before the game off air this would be a 3-touchdown win by the Bee Diggers, and that's what it is right now. Peterson, low line drive. Fielded by Durrett at the 6, running to his left across the 30-yard line. He's got a seam up the sideline across the 35 to about the 36. Nice return of close to 30 yards. Alexander and Rosenbrock on the far sideline make the play.
Our special teams have really been pretty good today. Kick coverage especially. I remember a lot of years we'd almost kick the ball out of bounds, just glad to give the ball to people on the 35.
I remember that 2 years ago. It was probably the worst we've seen it. 1st and 10 for Faith at their own 36-yard line. Olson will hand it off to Languish, and he's hit behind the line of scrimmage at the 35-yard line. Bee Diggers were still playing the run nicely, despite the fact you'd think they'd throw the football as Carwin made the hit. 2nd down and 11. Dave, surprised that Faith Christian has been held scoreless or not because they didn't have their starting quarterback.
Right, yeah. Without Buckman, that guy's one of the top offensive players in 2A in the state and probably half of their offense.
2nd down and 11 for the 35. Olson sets up, lofts it up the right side, and it's broken up by Guzman. Intended for Sanders at the 45 of Brush. 3rd down and 11 to go for Faith Christian.
Talk about tossing the ball straight up in the air. That's kind of what's happening there. The junior varsity quarterback, maybe not having the arm to be able to throw it down the field and hit the receiver on the run, and not having the timing to drop back and throw it sooner so that he could get it to him, with the length of his arm. But
3rd down and 11 from the 35, and a shotgun. The handoff to Languish off left tackle. He's going to be held up and thrown back for a loss at the 34, a loss of 1. Rosenbrock, Jose Rodriguez, Clay Shaver, all in there along with Randy Woodward to make the play. It'll be 4th down and 12 to go, and Grant Harkness into punt for Faith Christian with 2 minutes and 15 seconds to go. Hard to shut out anybody in the playoffs because they still have weapons on that offense. But the Bee Diggers are doing the job right now. Harkness standing at his own 21. Gets off the snap. Guzman is not going to field that ball. Bounces at the 32. Brush takes a Faith Christian roll to the 27. That's where the Eagles have the football. Or check it, the Bee Diggers, I should say, with 1:50 to go. Victory formation here?
I'll tell you what, I think they could just about kneel on it. We'll have to see what the coaches want to do. A lot of times at the end of the game, they get some of the junior varsity guys in, but I see a lot of those guys still hanging out over here on the sideline.
1st and 10 for the Bee Diggers at their own 27-yard line. And let's see what Brush decides to do. As Dave said, I think he can go into victory formation and just take the knee. And that's exactly what they're going to do. The deep man here is Peterson. He's about 12 yards back of the quarterback, Matos Garcia. From the 27, Baby takes a snap, takes a knee. That'll set up a 2nd down and 11 from the 26. 1:42 to go. And the Brush Bee Diggers will be in Eaton against the Reds next Saturday. That'll be a 1 o'clock kickoff unless anything changes right here on 1010 and KSIR.com. I'm
starting to wish I would have bought that steakhouse gift certificate last weekend for me and you to eat on the way home next week. I wasn't planning on going to Greeley.
On 2nd down, Matos Garcia takes another knee. It'll be 3rd and 12 from the 25. We've got 1 minute to go in this 2A quarterfinal. And they'll walk up to the line of scrimmage again. On 3rd and 12 from their own 25-yard line. Maltos Garcia waiting for that play clock to get to 5 seconds. It's at 4, at 3. Takes a snap, takes a knee. It'll be 4th and 13 from the 24. There are 30 seconds to go. And the play clock now being set, and the Bee Diggers do not have to take another snap. The Brush Bee Diggers improve to 11-0. They win this Class 2A state quarterfinal at home over the Faith Christian Eagles, their first ever playoff win against Faith Christian by a 21-0 count. We'll take a break right here on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com. John Beltran back with Dave Urich. The Bee Diggers defeat the Faith Christian Eagles in this 2A quarterfinal from Brush, 21-0. The Bee Digger post-game show is brought to you by Mr. D's Ace Farm and Home Center in Sterling Brush and Fort Morgan, your farm and ranch headquarters for all your farm and ranch supplies, and they carry feed for all your animals and pets. Mr. D's Ace Farm and Home Center. The Bee Diggers win the game by a score of 21-0 as they scored touchdowns in the first and second quarters. On the first play from scrimmage for the Bee Diggers, after Faith Christian went 3 and outs, Kyle Rosenbrock ran right up the middle, 65 yards. PAT was good. It was 7-0. And then the teams traded turnovers later on in the opening half. An interception by Mikey Gutierrez of Brush, one by Daniel Langowish of Faith Christian. But Brush would extend the lead after stopping Faith Christian. This was the key point in the game, Dave, where Faith Christian is the ball at the Brush 1-yard line on 2 separate occasions on the same drive, could not get into the end zone. On 4th and goal from the 1, it was a touchdown pass from Brandon Herman to Grant Harkness. However, 12 men on the field was called against Faith Christian. That also resulted in a loss of down, so they could not replay the down. Brush got the ball at their own 6-yard line and drove 94 yards in 2.5 minutes. Rosenbrock scoring from 29 yards out. I mean, to me, that's easily. Is there not even a close second in terms of the turning point in this game?
Yeah, especially since we were expecting the ball, at the start of the half, so we end up giving them we take that touchdown away from them right there. We give them the ball when we can't even get down the field to start the half. And so, that was the big thing. Momentum after they score there, and then knowing they have a chance to score again, possibly ties it up or even puts them in the lead if they make their PATs.
Extra point was no good there, but the Bee Diggers led 13-0 at the break. And then finally, after neither team was able to score in the third quarter and most of the fourth quarter, Faith Christian, after recovering a Brush fumble, threw an interception, and that interception went to Cameron Alexander, approximately 30 yards unofficially, thrown by Brandon Herman. 2-point conversion was good on the run, or the pass, I should say, from Rosenbrock to Guzman. And the Bee Diggers win 21-0. Faith Christian season is done at 8-3. Bee Diggers move on at 11-0. Dave, let's run through the numbers for both teams.
Well, let's go ahead and start with Faith Christian. They're missing one of the top offensive players in the state in 2A football.
That was a big difference in this game.
Huge difference, and because of that, we were able to zero in on a couple of other great runners between Trevor Olson and Langwich. Olson ended up with 34 yards on 14 carries. Langwich had 53 yards on 14 carries. They ended up with 84 yards total rushing, 42 yards passing. They completed 4 for 9, 2 interceptions, so 126 yards total offense on 39 offensive plays.
Meanwhile, the Bee Diggers did not have a ton of production from some of their players, but obviously Kyle Rosenbrock put up big numbers, and thankfully the running game was working because the Bee Diggers truly were a one-dimensional offense today.
They were for sure. They only threw the ball a total of 9 times. They completed 2 of those. Both of those were to Clay Shaver for 28 yards. They ran the ball for 313 yards, though, for 341 yards offense, and that's a lot less offense than what we're used to having. But, when you're trying to shorten the game, or you're playing a team that's trying to shorten the game, and then you have a good running attack as well, you don't need to have that much offensive output if you're going to put points on the board every time you go down the field.
Heck of a playoff opponent, though, when you're facing that type of defense.
Yeah, that's for sure. And again, let's count our blessings that Buckman was hurt, because I think that really helped us out today. Not to take anything away from our kids, but it definitely made the game not as close as what it could have been. Rosenbrock had 187 yards on the ground, 21 carries, and then Mikey Gutierrez chases that with 94 yards on 14 carries. So both of those guys just had a tremendous game. Like I said, Rosenbrock had 28 yards on 2 passes. Between him and Maltos, they had 2 interceptions. Maltos had a couple of runs for 15 yards.
And this Daniel Languish had a heck of a game defensively for Faith Christian. If he doesn't play that well, the Bee Diggers score a lot more than the 13 points they had on offense. But thankfully, Brush was able to do enough defensively and played very well defensively in order to pick up this 21-0 victory over the Faith Christian Eagles. Once again, they advance to the 2A semifinals, and they'll be in action on Saturday in Eaton against the Reds, and that's a rematch of a game played just 3 weeks ago, a game the Bee Diggers won 43-29, as we'll bring in head coach Randy Dreitz, and Dave and I will talk about that here momentarily after we speak with Coach Dreitz and the Bee Diggers. Again, picking up their 11th win of the year and advancing to the semifinals for the 3rd time in the last 4 seasons. Well, during the week, can't commit turnovers, a lot of things that you cannot do on offense, Coach, and unfortunately, you made some mistakes on offense, but the defense was so solid, and you played great there in the red zone defensively in that second quarter. You were able to get away with some mistakes on offense and win this game by 3 touchdowns.
Yeah, it was. I'm so proud of our defense. What a great game they had. To shut out a good team like that is very tough to do. They played really well. We had some stumbles on offense, and can't turn the ball over and can't have mistakes, and that'll hurt you. And we've got to correct those things, and we'll talk about them this week and work on some things. But we definitely, we've got to take care of the football and keep working, and we're going to watch this film and get better from it. And we got a challenge next week against Eaton, from what it sounds like, and beating a team a second time's tough, but I think our players are ready. We got to go to Eaton. It's going to be an exciting game. Packed house. I'm sure they're looking for a little revenge, but we got to play well.
Well, doesn't it show how good your team is, considering the mistakes you were just talking about, and also knowing that your offense was one-dimensional today because there was almost no success with the passing game?
Yeah, that's true. We got to be able to throw the football, and they did a good job of putting pressure on us to throw the football. So we got to do a better job and taking care of the football and reading a little bit better. But overall, I'm pleased with our performance. I think that we could have scored more and should have scored more, but mistakes and just a block here or there is a difference in the game. And so we'll get better and prepare as best we can for those Eaton Reds, and it's going to be quite the game.
Well, sometimes there's a discussion and maybe a disagreement on where the turning points of a game really rested on, but it seemed pretty obvious. You stopped them at the 1-yard line. They have too many men on the field. Then you go 94 yards in 6 or 7 plays and scored. And that, to me, seemed like that was easily the turning point of the game, because you're looking at 13-0 instead of 7-7.
Most definitely. That was a big part of the game right there, and hats off to our defense for doing a great job. Break down a couple times with them passing the ball, but overall, the defense was solid. I thought we had a good defensive scheme going, but we're going to definitely have our hands full this week, and we got to make sure. Last time we played them, they were starting to come back in that second half and kind of stuffed us a little bit, so we're going to have to play well.
Was the wind at all a factor, Coach? Because obviously you look at the not only the kicking game, but even that passing game. A couple of those interceptions, not only thrown by Brush, but by Faith Christian, those passes looked like they fell well short and wide of those intended targets.
Well, you didn't think that the wind was that bad when you're on the ground, but the higher up you go, we got some nice trees around our facility here that kind of help, but when the ball gets high in the air, we definitely had an issue with the ball getting floating or something like that. So it was a factor, and I hope that we don't have any factors this next week. They're talking about some cold weather coming in, but we just got to battle through all these adversities and keep working hard.
Finally, just on beating Faith Christian. We've talked about it, some painful losses, 98, 04, 06, 08, 09, 2013, but you finally get them in 2014.
Oh, thank God.
Simple
I've had
as
a
that.
monkey on my back. It seems like carrying that monkey around has been tough, but it was our turn, and our kids played well, and I think my coaching staff did a tremendous job of coaching them up this week and getting them ready. And we've beat them before in regular season games, but we haven't beaten them in the playoffs. And it was great to see that happen. And we've just got to do a great job of preparing our kids the best we can and watching a lot of film. I think I don't think I've watched as much film as I have this week, but I tried to make sure I had every nook and cranny covered, and our kids performed well and did their assignment, especially defensively. I was tremendously pleased with the way they played. Our linemen up front did a great job. It was the big thing all week to try to put more people at the point of attack. They're going to double team you if you get driven back. It kills our linebackers, and they were making piles and just did a tremendous job. And hats off to Faith Christian. They're a very good football team, and our kids played well. And I just can't tell you how excited I am for our kids and for the community of Brush.
Coach, congratulations. We'll see you in Eaton next Saturday.
Thank you.
That's Brush head football coach Randy Dreitz after the Bee Diggers won this 2A quarterfinal at home over the Faith Christian Eagles by a score of 21-0, sealing the victory on Cameron Alexander's interception return. Obviously, that was late in the game as the Bee Diggers moved to 11-0 on the season. And again, they just played on October the 24th. As Coach mentioned, in that game, the Bee Diggers had a 37-7 lead. And Eaton was able to come back, but Brush won that game 43-29. And if the Reds take care of the football, Dave, that could be a really, really good game, because Brush in that meeting 3 weeks ago, or a couple of weeks ago, actually capitalized on a lot of turnovers in the opening half committed by the Reds.
Right, and remember, Eaton had that same problem the week before against Sterling, so that's not like it was a fluke. That's been a monkey on their back, throughout the season. So, we have to look for, and then we know that Eaton played Platte Valley really tough earlier in the season too. And a lot of people said it was because of some penalties and then maybe a couple of returns for touchdowns that Platte Valley had that made that game so close. So we have to realize that they do have a talented bunch of kids, and their coach is somebody that Lemon, he's new in the league, but he has some success and coming from Hotchkiss, and over there at Hotchkiss, they're not a school that's been a perennial football powerhouse, but while he was there, they were in the playoffs, and I'm not sure if they made it to the finals, but I know they're in the semis a couple times. So it's going to be a good game, and we just have to hopefully cash in on some of their mistakes if they make them.
Good day for Morgan County football. The Mustangs are about less than 8 minutes away from knocking off Holy Family in Broomfield in that opening round 3A playoff game. They lead 35-12 in that one. That was a 14-12 lead at the break, and that Fort Morgan defense, which has been very good all season, has shut out a Holy Family offense, averaging nearly 49 points a game. We had a good defensive performance here by the Bee Diggers today as they shut out the Faith Christian Eagles 21-0. Dave, let's do it again next Saturday.
Oh, I can't wait. Like I said, I'm just wishing I would have bought that gift certificate to the steakhouse at the church social last week. Then we could have gone out and had a good meal on our way home.
Well, you can follow us on Twitter at KSIR Sports and our Facebook page at 1010 KSIR Sports. And for all the video, KSIR B106 channel on YouTube or KSIRsports.com. Just click on Brush Videos. Bee Diggers and Eaton Reds coming up a week from today. That'll be a 1 o'clock kickoff. Unless that changes, we'll keep it at 1 o'clock right here on 1010 as well as KSIR.com. Preceded by Bee Digger Blastoff at noon with game replay to follow. Sound engineer and producer of Brush Bee Digger Football has been Rose Condas, the studio engineer. Doing a great job as always, Alan Lands. For Dave Urig, I'm John Beltran. The final score in this 2A quarterfinal from Brush. Brush 21, Faith Christian nothing on 1010 KSIR and KSIR.com.